Hi everyone, this is Sarah with Divine Love Healing. I hope you are doing well today. If you're new, welcome to my channel. If you're a subscriber already, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that the content that you are seeing on my channel resonates for you, and if so, that you would please like it, subscribe, and share. Love to hear your comments and feedback, and I'm trying to provide a variety of videos to appeal to a wide range of an audience. So today's is a little bit different. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that back in May for Mother's Day, I did something very similar, so you might want to check that out. But this is a pick a pile, pick a card style reading. There are 3 choices, which you probably saw on the little intro at the beginning. But this is intended to bring you a message of closure, of comfort, whatever message you need to hear today in relation to someone who you would consider a father or father figure in your life. This person may be deceased, they may still be living, you just may not have contact. There's a wide variety of situations that sometimes come out in these. And so again, you might want to watch all 3 just to see if there are bits and pieces that resonate for you. It could be someone too that is somebody who's the father of your children. Doesn't have to necessarily be a father, a direct relationship, as far as a parent to you. So again, take it how it resonates, and we're going to see what comes out. So as usual, I pre-shuffle these just to save time, but I have not seen what is in these piles yet, so just bear with me, because as I unveil each one, it's the first time I'm seeing the cards as well, and so sometimes it takes me a minute to get my bearings, especially with so many different cards. There's often a lot of messages that start coming through, so there might be some awkward pauses, so again, just bear with me on that. I will timestamp it, so check that out down below. And I will also run through in a minute the cards that we're using. If you have any questions about a particular deck that catches your eye, please just comment below or contact me otherwise on social media, and I'd be happy to share that information with you if you're interested in any of those decks. And if you'd like to book a session with me to look into your specific situation, be it with more in depth on what comes out today or on another situation that you have ongoing, then that information's down below as well. So before we start in here, I will go ahead and just let you know the decks we're using today. So we're going to use the Triggers and Shadows Oracle deck that was created by me. A link for that one is down below if you're interested in purchasing that. We're using the Mermaid Tarot, excuse me. I know that might seem kind of like a little bit of it's actually not a very happy deck. There's actually some kind of dark images and themes that come out in some of these cards. And so that's what we're looking at. We're looking kind of at, what was the shadow aspect of this relationship? In what ways are there wounds here perhaps that haven't been healed? I've asked for some signs from Spirit. That's the name of this oracle, as well as the charm cards. Both are by Mystic Moon. There will be specific things that come out, perhaps to give you a sign or an indication, confirmation of who this person is. Okay, again, it may not resonate for everybody, but I try to deliver as specific of a message as I can. So again, because of that, it may not resonate for everyone. We're also using the Past Life Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. Past life could be, the past itself or actual past lives. So again, it's just, that one's more of a theme identifier as well as perhaps the person themselves. We're also going to use the Messages of Closure by All Things Intuitive to see what that person would want, their higher self would want to say to you in closure for this situation. And then we are going to get a message from the Archangel Raphael Healing Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue to just see, if there are physical ailments, emotional ailments, anything like that Spirit has a message for you regarding the situation, or maybe just otherwise that they want you to hear today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Sorry, one of my cats is, of course, starting to act up in the background, so I'm hoping there's no chaos here. So I will do my fancy schmancy, lifting it up so you guys can see again. Number 1 is the clear quartz key with the cloud top. we have Labradorite angel wings, and we have an aquamarine moon as number 3. So again, number 1 is the clear quartz key. So we're going to start with that one. We're going to put that to the side. And for whatever reason, there was I was getting a very strong, like a very etheric vibe today, but just lots of blue, like aquamarine. As you could see from that this crystal key is very etheric. The Labradorite doesn't really pick it up, but it's very, like, it's got when it shines in the light, like it's not really picking it up on here, but it's got a very shiny vibe. Just ocean. So I don't know if there's like a Caribbean connection with you and this person, or they loved the ocean. But again, just a lot of that the earrings I'm wearing, all of that I was very drawn to today for whatever reason. Or blue, just maybe like an important color or a favorite color in the dynamic. But okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started now with number 1, which again is the quartz cloud key. All right. And sometimes, these are kind of some intense feelings come out at times, so you might see me get emotional. Okay. I'm feeling in most cases I'm picking up on that this is a father or a stepfather, a father figure that was in your life as a child, and that this person most likely is deceased. And the reason being, we've got this flame, this eternity card, which to me looks kind of like a memorial. And there's that eternity, like, their confirmation that their soul has moved on and is in another realm. And we also have the forgiveness card, which we're going to get to because it ties into some of the other things that came out today. But there, you can see there are doves here, and they're in the clouds. And there's also this cloud key. So I'm getting that, like, definitely like a heaven crossed over energy coming out for this one. I'm getting that this father, when he was present and around, there was really no love there. He was very hard on you. He was very like, it's almost like he would ride you all the time, like you were never good enough. You never felt good enough. The shadow card that came out is shame, embarrassment, humiliation, self-blame. And as you can see, I mean, it's this poor child who is like coward and like just, and the fingers pointing like, you did this, you did that, why did you do that? There was never praise. It was always competition, conflict and competition. With this person, they never acknowledged the things you did well, and you always felt like you were walking on eggshells. You may have had siblings where, the siblings were, you were always in competition with the siblings. Maybe they favored a sibling over you, but they never made you feel loved, is what I'm getting. And you would just, I feel like you would get blamed for things. Like, they would blame you or your siblings, the whole, like, the children would get blamed if something would go wrong. It was like, if I hadn't had kids, or there was just this whole, it was like a whole, like, you always felt like, I feel like you felt like you were a burden. You never felt wanted. And so I don't know if this father figure, before they passed, if they were even in your life at all. But I feel like there definitely was a period where, I mean, again, there wasn't that loving bond, and then there never was like a reconciliation, like a loving, forgiveness that took place in this lifetime. And I'm getting that either the father figure, the father was either, would smoke a lot of marijuana, or perhaps, and that was their way, like they would just zone out, or as a teenager, turned to alternative methods of coping and comfort because you weren't getting that from your father, because we have hemp and we have alternative, as that. And I'm not saying, that's not, I'm not putting hemp down, because I know it has a lot of good qualities. I'm just saying in this context, that's what I'm picking up, is that there was a coping mechanism here, and drugs and alcohol may have been what you turned to because you weren't offered that love from your father as a child. We also, this particular pile had two of the charm cards that wanted to come out, and this one's actually a really pretty card. It's a dream catcher, but it's the key word for that is defensive. So you may have struggled with issues in your adulthood as being defensive, because it's like you have this net, like where it's like a filter, where it's like you're not gonna like open yourself up emotionally because you have all this shame that came through, against you, when you were a child, and you couldn't express yourself, and again, you never felt safe to do that. So that's where you turned to these alternative methods of coping. There could be, I mean, there's a small, like, it might apply to some of you if there's a Native American blood, or ancestry there, with the dream catcher. And then hemp is like also, I mean, I'm looking at, like, I know it's not tobacco, but like that, I just got the message of like a tobacco leaf, which is like, an offering in Native American cultures. So for some subsets of you, there could be that there's a Native American, that your father was of Native American descent. But what the message that I hope gives you comfort today, is that they are saying, I regret the time we lost. I regret the time we lost. And trust me, I don't know if you've watched, again, the Mother's Day video, but I remember distinctly one of the messages that came out was really cold, and there was no regret or remorse, expressed. So it's not like every card I'm going to pull from this deck is going to be all happy-feely, you're not going to get that. So this, from what I've seen of using this deck, I think that you can take this message to heart. I regret the time we lost, which is why I'm not only picking up on that in the childhood aspect, but in the adult time, they either just completely disappeared from your life, or there was just like so much damage done that you stopped speaking to each other. Understandably, if somebody's shaming you and treating you horribly, you're not going to want to be around them anymore, right? But there was never a time for forgiveness while they were living, is what I'm picking up on, and they regret that, and they wish they had done things differently. And so what I'm getting here is, this is the path forward for you, is that as hard as it is, you need to work on forgiving yourself. If there's been any regret, and it was 1333 on the camera when I said that, and there's like the doves and 333. If you're seeing that number, know that's Jesus, that's other ascended masters that want to work with you. It's a number about the Holy Trinity. It's a number about, the connectedness of like the Holy Spirit, man, woman, Holy Spirit, everything in union together. So just know that like that you can still talk to them, is what I'm getting. I know it's not the same as having that face-to-face conversation, and maybe you have that regret too, that it never happened, but just know that you still can connect to them, right? And so if you feel silly like talking out loud, sit down and write it out. Write them a letter and pour out all the things that you want to say. Let your anger out. Let your anger out, but also forgive. And just, what I'm getting is too, that there may have been it doesn't excuse it, because at some point somebody's got to break the pattern, right? But I'm getting that maybe they, again, a lot of times too in Native American cultures, Not to stereotype, but there is a lot of violence. And so maybe that was just, they only had the tools to work with, and that's the way they were raised, and they didn't know how to love you because they weren't loved themselves. And so it's nothing to do with you or your value or your worth, or you were an innocent child, right? And so what you've got to know is that that was not your fault. But eternity too, I think this message again is confirming that they're eternal, their soul is eternal, and that you are able to still release this, to let it go, to have that connection with them, to ask them for signs. Once you're in this position where you feel comfortable and you forgive, signs that they're with you. Or signs, if you don't want to do that, just signs that God is with you, right? Signs that Jesus, whatever you identify with and believe in, as your higher power, higher self, that they're with you. So that's a really beautiful thing. Forgiveness is the key. So again, we have a full moon coming up, June 24th, and that's a great time to write and surrender and burn things. So, I would just purge out everything you can on paper and burn it. And, some people say you don't want to read that back once you let it out, because then you're re-imprinting it. So whatever feels right for you. If that first time you feel like, what, I wrote it out, but I need to read it to process it. And then, you may want to get some Apache tears. Those I've had great luck buying those on Amazon. I wouldn't necessarily buy all crystals on Amazon, but they're very reasonably priced. They're wonderful at absorbing grief and negative energy. So maybe hold on to those as you're processing and thinking about some of these times where they shamed you. Write a letter of forgiveness to yourself, and honoring your inner child, and saying that, you were not worthy of being, you were, let me see. I wanted to say you weren't worthy of being treated that way. That's the wrong word to say. You didn't deserve to be treated in that manner. It wasn't your fault, is what I'm getting at. The words got jumbled. The blaming, the humiliation, that was them projecting onto you. It was not your value as a child or as a person. So those are things that you need to work on, and forgiving in yourself. So the healing message from Archangel Raphael is stay positive. That's a beautiful message. Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me be optimistic and take the appropriate action steps that support my health. So staying positive, right? This is about, I think in regards to this situation, not focusing on the negative aspects, right? Not focusing on, the past is gone and it can't be changed, right? But what can be changed now is the present and the future going forward. And if you let go of this, and you recognize that this person, that this father figure does regret the time they lost, they do regret their behavior, and you recognize that they were projecting, and you have an entire life ahead of you still left to live, right? So don't let that past hold you back. It's time to forgive, it's time to release, and it's time to move forward with a new outlook, all right? A new outlook, and forgive. And again, the word I'm getting is just, purging that baggage, purging that pain. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel it. But again, know that none of this was your fault. And really none of this, they're responsible for their actions, but they were repeating the same patterns. And now you have the power, you have the tools to do what they didn't, to break that cycle, right? So either, if you are a father, or maybe you've been afraid to become a father, or not wanted to become a father because you don't know how to do that because you didn't have that as a role model. No matter the situation, just know it's okay, and know that you do have the power to positively change this and shift this going forward. So I hope that was helpful for you. Like I said, if you want to look into your specific situation, your healing, more healing and in-depth child core wounds, and anything else regarding your situation, please contact me. That information is down below. Okay, so we are going to move on to group 2 now. And group 2 was the Labradorite angel wings right here. So let's see what group 2. Okay, so what I'm getting is that this person has crossed, and I'm getting that they were maybe, for sure they were guarded, closed off. Their heart, they were not an emotional father figure. They were not a loving father, which is unfortunately, many people encounter that in their lives, right? I'm getting that this person, this father figure, they were so focused on work and money, and that it was all about that. They were very cold and unemotional. Okay, so we've got the guarded card, so heart on lockdown, and the Eight of Pentacles is the tarot card that came through. We also have another tarot card here, so I'm going to get to that in a minute. Two of them wanted to come out for number 2. The only thing that I'm getting that they may have made the time to do with you guys as a family, it's I feel like your mother was more of the loving, the supportive, and maybe she was a stay-at-home mother, and your dad just he paid the bills. That was his purpose. He really did not engage with you guys much. But I feel like there were times possibly on the weekends where you guys would go to the zoo or a farm. There are a lot of animals coming through, okay, and I don't really get that. I didn't get that with the other one, certainly, because in this Eight of Pentacles card, there's a frog, there's a fox, there's a bird, there's a deer, there's fairies, and they're in the forest. There's a lot of that. We've also got, as the 2 signs to come through with the charm cards, we've got animals coming through. We've got a web, which is obviously a spider web, and we've got a zebra, unique. Okay, so take that for what it is. If there's some unique message that a zebra means to you in relation to this person or your own spiritual journey, absolutely take that. Okay. Web also here references a cosmic plan. So there may have just been some questioning, why did I have a father that didn't love me, right? And why was it this way? And you may feel betrayed. You may feel betrayed by God. And I'm getting that because as the past life card, we've got a monk or nun. So I feel like perhaps you yourself or your family or your father especially, were very religious. And so perhaps there's times you've questioned your faith because why did some of my friends have a daddy that was so there and that hugged them and was doing stuff with them and that type of stuff. So I'm getting that type of a vibe. But the web card, again, the cosmic plan, the message is to know that maybe there's things you haven't figured out yet, right? And I know it sounds crazy when you have terrible experiences happen. It's easy for me to sit here or other readers to say oh, it was part of the cosmic plan, it'll make sense. When bad things happen, it's not easy to look at it that way. But all the things that have happened have made you who you are, and shaped who you are. And I'm getting that, perhaps you're on this path now where you're learning, you're studying other maybe modalities. I don't know if that's the right word. Religions, all those types of things, because the Eight of Pentacles can be about that as well. Maybe you're shying away a little bit from Christianity and starting to get more into this idea that there's a cosmic plan here. And where I was going with that was, I just lost my train of thought. It's more along the lines of, if you're starting to go through this, where you're learning, growing, ascending, awakening, you're starting to understand that perhaps you learning about these things and taking, where I was going with this too, was that if you're watching this video, right, and this is resonating, you are already starting to awaken and learn and grow and by looking at the past and examining how it's shaping you as a future. You're not in victim mode. You're ready to take charge. And by doing so, you may be in a position to help others learn, there might be a plan in place. It's again, not to digress, but you guys know if you follow me, I do share a lot about my own journey and in a way to try to help others relate. Okay, so who would think here, like, I'm staring down 42, I'll be 42 in November, and if you'd have told me 10 years ago that I would be almost 42, divorced twice and not have children, I would have had a nervous breakdown, right? Because that wasn't my plan. That was not my plan. That my plan was to do other, to have a family, to have the white picket fence, all those things. I didn't plan to be single for, gosh, it's going on what, 4 or 5 years? It's going on 5 years. That would have not been my plan, right? But the cosmic plan, which we all do have a hand in co-creating before we come here, I firmly believe that. Although there are times, again, many of us are like, why would I have chosen that? And then you learn, and then you like, oh, okay, I get why that didn't happen or why that did happen. But my point being, I see now that my purpose in going through all those personal, relationship, emotional struggles, going through a relationship with a narcissist, going through, just that devastation and that codependency and all those things, it was so that I could help others who are facing the same challenges. That was the cosmic plan, was for me to face all these things, heal from them, grow, and help others. And so you may have part of this plan where if you're feeling betrayed, like, why did I not have a dad? Or why did, think of how many people unfortunately are in that situation. You may be in a position to help with that, okay? And the reason I talked about the betrayal as well showing up was the second tarot card was the Ten of Swords. And that is a card, that's a card of, where somebody stabs you in the back, where you feel like gutted. This also could tie to your father's death. It could have been, because again, this is horrible image, but it's violent. I mean, they may have been murdered. It may have been a horrible accident, something that, you didn't, even though they were closed off, you didn't see that, like, it wasn't an expected thing, and you were thinking that you may have been a younger child when it happened. I'm getting like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, middle school. There could have been that type of thing that happened as well. So again, take that as it resonates, and you might feel betrayed by God. They're like, why would my dad die so young? And on top of it, like, I never got to hear him say that he loved me and the things I needed to say, and you never had that closure. Well, your dad definitely did love you. He just was doing, what I'm getting is what he was expected to do, what society expected, and what he was taught. Right? Men are taught to suppress their emotions. Men are taught to be providers. They think that's, what their purpose is, and what, and so it's like it's passed down generation to generation. They're told, like, don't cry. Like, strong men don't cry. And you're supposed to make a lot of money. And so your father was just doing that. And he didn't know how to express his emotions. But what I'm getting is, unlike number one, where I get, like, there was maybe some emotional abuse. And of course, withholding affection can be emotional abuse too. I don't feel like he was outright mean. I just feel like he was focused on work, not always present, and certainly not present emotionally. Okay. And I do feel like, again, for some of you, the happy times that you remember with him was going to a zoo, or being around animals. So the message coming through is, I will show you some signs and synchronicities. Okay. So again, if you are on this path where you're starting to identify with other religions, you're awakening, getting, and, like, again, signs from spirit, angels, guides, your father is, if you call on him and ask him for specific signs, to communicate in a dream, or to say, like, I know you love me, but, can you show me now a sign that, and show me, and ask for a specific sign though. And ask for something that you may not see all the time, right? If you go outside and you're constantly seeing orange butterflies, probably not one, because then you're going to question, well, I would have seen it anyway. If you never ever see a blue butterfly around your yard, and just, you might be surprised. Ask to see that within 24 hours or 48 hours, And then you may start seeing them pop up. You may just start getting messages, numbers, like feathers, coins. There are different ways. Things that, you start getting inundated. It could be really, honestly, and what I'm getting now too is, for those of you where it's resonating with the animal vibe, right? A zebra could be the sign, or a spider, like the web, like whatever animal was the favorite one that you and your dad, like if you would laugh at an animal videos, or something like that, you may start getting inundated with things that remind you of those memories, right? Don't discount it. Know that he is sending you that. And so the healing card, it's going to sound weird at first, but I promise it makes sense. Avoid allergens. Dear Archangel Raphael, please assist me in identifying and avoiding allergens that may be toxic to my health and happiness. Help me to only crave healthful foods and beverages. So what I'm getting is, this is talking about toxic health patterns, foods and beverages. So again, you may have turned to eating, your emotions, your pain, or drinking, or even using, substances to deal with this pain. So what this is saying is, it's really time to avoid this and to do things that are good for your body, right? I think that turning over to spirit, prayer, again, we got this card, the Monk or Nun card, but this could be turning to prayer, and the prayer that you identify with now versus maybe the organized religion or the things that were a factor in your childhood, is the signs and synchronicities, is like the spirit animals, getting out in nature, and watching and listening for those signs that you're getting. So again, though, if you did have, obviously, where this resonated, where you've had an absent father, where you've turned to other substances, where you've had a betrayal like this, if they did die suddenly, these are things that if you haven't, sought professional help from, professional counseling, that's not something that I am licensed to provide. But, you may want to do that. And then in addition, we can get more in depth into this. We can get into some mechanisms to work on that heart chakra healing, work on the grief. I think I mentioned the Apache tears. If it wasn't in this one, it might have been in the first one. Malachite, I'm getting, is a good one to work with you as well. So I hope that helped group 2. And like I said, if you want to look into your situation, that information is down below. So we are going to move on to group 3. Group 3 is the aquamarine moon. So we're just going to sit that here and see what, oh boy, man, these are some strong, but men, there's a lot of times there is, I hate to say, some toxic masculine stuff that happens, just like there's toxic women too, so. I'm getting a sense that this one, and again, you may want to watch it all the way through despite what I'm about to say, because I think there could be aspects that apply to your actual father, but I'm getting this is more of a dynamic where this is possibly a woman and it's the father of your children and he's still living. And we'll go into that too, but I'm getting just that there's some very, whatever the relationship is here, very controlling energy, very, very toxic, very toxic. And I feel like you are finally in a position where you're either about to break free from the situation, or you're trying to. You're trying to, or you recently have, okay? So the shadow we have is the control card, possessive, smothering, demanding. And you can see that he's got like a vice grip around her, and she's just like stuck. The tarot card that came out here is the World. The World is the last of the major arcana, and it is about closing out cycles, okay? It's about like just being at the end, being done. And what I'm also getting here too, the World card doesn't mean this, but this image, you guys know I read tarot also by images, not just the traditional meaning of the cards. This has a very Empress vibe to it. This loving, nurturing woman, she's holding the world in her hands. That could be almost like a pregnant belly that she's holding, and she's in water, and like these fish are swimming around her. I mean, she's just like a very emotional, loving, nurturing person, a mother type, okay? The signs from Spirit that came out here are songs, information. What's interesting to me, this is a very kind of a graphic image that's coming up here, but it's literally a heart. It looks like the organ, the heart organ, with wires pumping into it. I mean, this is kind of a dark image, but I'm getting it's almost like there are songs, like if you have broken away from them, or there are songs that remind you of this person and that bring back that nostalgia. And it's like, or they send you songs to try to get you back, and then it like pulls at your heartstrings. There could be something to do with horses as well. Either you guys own a horse together, you went horseback riding, it was like this romantic first date, they tried to sweep you off your feet, or come in like riding this knight in shining armor, riding a horse. But at the end of the day, power, it's like power play, control, like definitely the vibe I'm getting. The past life card is medicine man or medicine woman. So what I'm getting with this one, for some of you, they may have Native American ancestry in their blood, or you might, but I'm getting more that like you've started to kind of seek help, maybe from like shaman, like spiritual healers, to try to help you, get rid of, kind of overcome this need and this pull with this person, right? You've kind of started to look to other alternatives of healing to try to help you break away from this. And spiritual, I'm getting like a spirituality type vibe. The message that they have for you, the message of closure, I didn't mean what I said. Now to me, that sounds like an excuse. That sounds like, it's not even really an apology. It's like they would come back, like they might say something really shitty to you, like blah, blah, and then say, oh, that was a joke. Or I didn't mean what I said. They would put you down in a way to control you, and then just, I didn't mean what I said. I didn't mean it like that. That was like their pattern. And I'm getting that like you are really like in their grasp, and it's been really, really hard. And I can tell you, I didn't have children with one of my exes, but he was he was truly mentally ill and was a narcissist. And it was the hardest thing to do, to break away from him, because they have your heart. They know exactly what ways to pull and tweak it, and the things to say, the power plays to make. They promise you the world right when they come back, that they're going to change, and then the same things start over and over again. I mean, I was with mine. I should have never moved in with him. I never should have been in that relationship with him that long. And I stayed with him for, gosh, it was probably a good 2.5 years before I moved out. And then I only broke up with him, it was like 6 weeks. And then I took him back for another 1.5 years, right? And so there was that fear, like, I've invested this much time in it, like, and they're going to change, and they do love me. And, I know it. It was one of the hardest days of my life was ending it that second time. It was devastating. And I struggled for months. I went to counseling, and I didn't stick with it long enough. So that's something that you really might want to do. If you haven't got professional counseling outside of this, I mean, definitely seek any kind of method that you think is going to help you. But I think the biggest thing is like, they have that, to break that pattern, it's no contact, it's detaching. Now, with that being said, if this is the father of your children or somebody who you wanted to have children with, right? You envisioned sharing your life with them. So either way, but if you do have children with them, no contact obviously is not an easy thing to do. There are narcissistic recovery programs out there. Melanie Tonya Evans, I think is her name. She's on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. She specializes specifically in this type of thing. So you might want to look at her and see what kind of program she has. But, you know, I don't know if they have, like, if there's family members that they have that you do get along with that can maybe kind of help bridge the gap. You know, if you have somebody that can be there with you, you know, when the children, you know, if there's a way that you can have supervised visits. I mean, there's a lot of things because you're afraid of maybe the information too that they're going to be passing along to the children. So there's a lot here. Obviously, we can't get into all that today, but you know, if this is resonating for you, just know that this pattern, right, that you're doing the right thing and that you can break free from it. Small subset of you, this could have been the dynamic that you grew up with. And you know, you're trying to heal from it. You're recognizing some maybe patterns within yourself, in your own relationships that you're starting to have. And just know that first thing is like recognizing it. Either if you're the one that's wanting to leave and realize this is unhealthy and you need to heal yourself, or you were in this situation as a child and you're starting to display those. It's like if you're recognizing it and owning up to the behavior, that's step one. And you can absolutely work towards changing yourself and bettering yourself. So the Archangel Raphael card is Easy Does It. Dear Archangel Raphael, please help me detach, retreat, and let go so that healing can occur, right? Because they've got you in their grasp and they did for a long time. Ask Archangel Raphael to help you cut these cords around your heart. If you can, you know, try to just you know, have pre-selected playlists that you have, so that there are certain songs that you know are going to trigger you that you don't listen to, right? Take your power back and do that, you know, by contacting healers, by working through these things. And just know that it may seem hopeless now, but you have hope now because you have the ability to have a life away from them without being controlled, without being put down, without being made to feel inferior, without having your soul, your emotions, your finances, every aspect of your being drained, your mental health, everything, right? It is better, trust me, it is better to be alone than to be with somebody who drains your soul, or drains you in any capacity. And I know it's easier said than done, but time does help with this, okay? And there are resources out there, a lot of them, that can help you in all aspects of dealing with this situation. If you go back to this person, you know deep down that same pattern is going to keep repeating itself, and they're just going to further destroy you, right? And that is where you know is hopeless. It's hopeless there because that person has shown time and time again they're not going to change. What you do have hope for is to change the future, okay? And that starts in the present moment. So I hope that helped you. Like I said, if you want to schedule a session with me, I would love to work with you. That information is down below. Take care.